We're going
consumers,
live.
because the,
Thank you. Hey, Harry,
sure.
letting you know we're live. Tint Wizdom number 84. I'm with Harry Rahamn from Veloce Innovations.
Eric, how are you?
I'm doing swell. How about yourself?
You're killing it, man. Loving it, loving it.
I'm rocking this new shirt from Tint Life.
I
It just
I
came in
like it.
today.
I like it.
Got it on the sleeve. Got it
It brings
on the back.
look very professional, man.
Thank you. It's my new
Now you just
YouTube attire.
like I like it. Good, good, good.
So, okay, today's topic, what we're going to talk about is those challenging customers that everyone gets as a window film company and how to properly navigate it, because we see, you see all sorts of ways people handle this sort of thing, from saying, I just drop the customer, I tell them I don't want to, I'm not going to service them, all the way to like venting online, and just see everything. And then there's other companies who seem to kind of specialize in capturing those customers and servicing them. So it's a great topic. Before we jump into the topic, I wanted to ask you. About a post from Veloce today about the temperate
Temperate,
temperate
yeah,
25. Just curious. Tell me
yeah.
more.
Eric, this is, so we've got about two or three of our dealers that are just very, very particular. They are what I call the film Nazis, man. They look at everything and they look at every single thing there is about a film. So very, very particular. So they called us up and they said, and it was a little bit of a consensus. The Temperate 25, they said, was our best looking film. So it's a newer film. It's a spectrally selective film. It is, so about 20 years ago, I was involved with a company that brought the ceramic films to market. At the
Mhm.
time, amazing technologies. We were so far ahead of our times. And we started talking about non-reflective films, right? So
Okay.
the
So
temp, the temp,
temperate's a
go ahead.
non-reflective.
No. So the beautiful thing about the temperate film is the temperate film in today's world will actually lower. So it has an anti-reflective property to it that can actually lower the reflection of double pane glass. And that's what really makes it so spectrally selective. So it's not a ceramic based film. It does
Mhm.
have metals in it, but the reflection is very low. It's about 6% inside out. By the way, in the past, we used to refer to 10, 11, 12% as non-reflective. This is half of that. So really nice, high performance, about 66% TSER, about 84% infrared rejection. Overall, a pretty neat film.
So when we talk about reflectivity, we're talking from the outside reflective, like low reflectivity, it brings down the.
Sure.
How about the view from the inside looking out?
Good question. So on a double pane glass, it's difficult to put an interior film and reduce reflection from the outside. It's difficult to do that. It does sometimes do that because the outer pane is the actual pane that's causing the reflection. So from the on single pane, it will definitely have a huge effect. On double pane, it can still have because there's a certain amount of visible light that gets absorbed. Now, you notice I said visible light and not infrared light, because if it absorbs visible and infrared, it becomes an absorptive film which can crack the glass.
So let's do this real quick. If I'm the customer and you're the tin salesperson, and you come
Sure.
into my house and you say, "What kind of film are you looking for? Like, what are you looking to accomplish?" And I say, "Look, I know about the dual reflective. I had somebody show me samples. I know about the ceramic. I had somebody show me samples. What else do you have?" And you say, "Well, I have the temperate 25." And you go on to describe it, comparing it to a dual reflective and a ceramic. I have a dual reflective on my sample. I have a ceramic sample. Now you're showing me this third sample. How do you position that?
So what I would say is that, Eric, look, if you're looking for a certain amount of glare reduction, but you don't want to go too dark, the Temperate 25 is about a 27 VLT. What that means to you, Mr. Customer, is it's not something that will appear extremely dark. It will still allow a significant
Yeah,
amount of
the
light.
dual reflective that I was looking at was a 25%. So it's the
Sure.
same amount of light, I would imagine.
Yes, so it would be the same amount. The main difference is going to be if you're living in any sort of homeowners association, or if you're living in an apartment, or if you're living in any place that cannot change the exterior look of it, the visible light reflection of a Temper 25 is extremely low. In fact, it can actually lower sorry about that. It can actually lower the reflection of your glass. Now,
So
what that means to this inside, yeah,
so as a customer, I'm interrupting you, not as Eric. I'm as the
sure, that's
customer.
okay. That's okay.
Okay, so that makes sense that I wouldn't want the dual reflective because I know my HOA is not going to approve that. But the ceramic that I saw was I was told that that would be approved by the HOA because it also doesn't change the appearance. So should I just go with the ceramic or why would I go with the temperate?
So, Eric, I want you to know this, Mr. Eric, is that we have a dual reflective called Blend within our portfolio as well. So it's not that we don't have that product. We have a ceramic lines, a 30, 40, and a 55 within our lines. The difference is going to be that the ceramic product is a great product, and Veloce makes it as well. The only problem is that if you're looking for maximum performance, you can't go too dark on a ceramic. You mentioned part of your concern was glare a little bit as well, right? So if you're looking for a little bit of glare control, this is a 25. In a ceramic, you can't go to a 25 because it absorbs too much heat and it'll crack your glass.
Got
So
it. So
if
this
you're
gives you
looking
the
for
opportunity to go a little
compatibility,
darker. So is this going to cost me
yes.
more or
So
less than the ceramic?
it's definitely going to cost you more than a ceramic. But the thing is, I'd like to put up a sample on your windows and you can decide. And I also want to show you the difference in performance so that you can see which one would fit. Now, Eric, maybe the ceramic performance is good enough for you. And again, because we make all three technologies as well, that may be just fine. But from what you've described, which is the evening sun is hitting you pretty hard, you need extra glare reduction and you need that extra heat reduction.
Got it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm paying a premium for a film that's going to allow me to go darker to get more glare reduction. Have a great exterior look that's not going to add reflectivity. That's where this film's positioned. So I'm going maybe dual reflective, ceramic as an option. Then I'm going, oh, you like the darkness of the dual reflective, but you want the look of a ceramic because it's not going to be allowed in an HOA. Temperate's the perfect solution there. Yeah.
Yep. And Eric, having been on the architectural committee personally of HOAs, multiple ones as well, I can tell you that the HOAs have so much power, and this is a nice neighborhood you live in, Eric, that fancy house that you have with that beautiful pool view that you have.
The pool
Um,
view.
yeah. So,
You have the
so I
neighbor's
just want,
pool.
yeah, the neighbor's pool. So I just want you to know that, HOAs have so much power, Eric, that there is a possibility that they can actually ask you to take that film off if it's too shiny or if it changes. And the problem with HOAs is that most people that are as part of the association, this is what they do, and they love to go around and just enforce the laws.
Sure. Okay. I understand that film thoroughly. If anybody watching has any questions about it, I mean, feel free to throw them in. But I feel like we can move on to the topic of the day.
Good, good, good. So, Eric, we see a lot of posts. You and I have had this discussion before, when we were talking about discussions. We see a lot of posts about dealers getting frustrated at their customers. Sometimes it's because they're asking for something, if they're asking for a faster installation time or they're asking for a better price. And I wanted to kind of have this open discussion. You've been on the other side of the fence as well in retail. And I want to just kind of address maybe 3 or 4 different situations
Yeah.
that dealers go through and why maybe not to get frustrated. I know that we are so blessed to be in an industry that is kicking butt right now. Not everybody's industry is doing that, right? I mean,
All right.
not everybody, a lot of people are dependent on unemployment and other parts. So we really need to not take this time just because we're extremely busy to say, buzz away. I've got enough business. I don't need your business.
Yeah.
I mean, even
Yeah. Especially with look, we everybody can forecast the economy, but you have to hedge your bet a bit and go, hey, things can be busy now, but I need to make sure everything's actually running right. So when something isn't so busy, you're still running along.
yeah, that no doubt. And the other side of that, Eric, is that we have to put the humanitarian side first and as well and say, okay, look, let's just take for instance that I am a customer in a different industry and I go get carpet in my house, right? So if I always put myself and say, if I'm that customer and I'm going to put carpet in my house, do I say carpet is carpet is carpet? Which, by the way, uh, Eric, if we take a step back, I'm a car guy. You guys know, if there's nothing you know about Veloce, it's okay. You do know I'm a car guy,
Hmm.
right? So before I came into this industry, to me, I knew a lot about cars, but window tint was window tint was window tint. So I didn't see the difference.
Sure.
If you said, "Hey, this is
Same thing.
ceramic and this is this," yeah.
Yep.
So as a carpet guy, I can say, yeah, I know a few grades of carpets, but I don't know every single grade of carpet. So if I go to my carpet vendor and say, okay, tell me I mean, why is this so much? I mean, I got a price for half as much.
Right.
Uh, I need to give the carpet company a chance to explain to me why. Maybe it's easier to clean. Maybe it's this.
Yep.
I don't know, but I have to give them that chance.
Sure. And if they can explain it to you before you even have to ask, that's where you win. So like one of the most important things is, really focusing on building out your product offering, whether you're doing flat glass or automotive, in a way that gets that information out there and people understand it. So whether it be how you speak to them on the phone or what you present them with at their home or what it says on your website, you have to work really hard to communicate all those different aspects of your business and why they should use you and put that information in front of them about the different films. If you're going up with a film and you're calling it DR15 and you keep calling it DR15 and you never stop to explain that it's called dual reflective, what that means is you're going to have a shiny view from the outside, but you'll have a view out from the inside during the day and at night. This privacy, and when you explain to the customer's not left thinking film is film, and that to me is one of the most fundamental parts of having, like, setting yourself up as a business for success, because when you're able to do that with the customer, you get the type of customer responses that you want. When you don't do that, you tend to maybe lose a part of the customer base that just gets lost because you didn't explain it and somebody else did. And then you tend to get the people, like you said, that go, tints, why is it so much? And then that leads to potential frustration of being, why are they all price shoppers? So if I can keep talking for another minute and a half, there was a dealer that I spoke to a couple days ago from Facebook, and he had posted in a group saying that, like, he was about to give up on everything, like was just totally on a cliff and frustrated that he knows he's a good at his trade, but he wasn't able to capture the customers. He felt like he was just getting price shoppers. So I private messaged him. I said, send me your website, send me your Google Places, like what's your business name and so on. I went to his website. His website was one of the worst websites I've seen. Like, it was just the worst thing ever. He knows it. I told him. He knows it on his own. I told him, I said, your website's terrible. He says, I know. You go to his Instagram, there's one post ever, not one post a week or a month, one post ever. There's no Google Places. There's no Yelp page. So then you say, well, what type of customer is calling a business like that? The type of customer that will call 50 businesses to get the lowest price. That's the type of customer. Now, the type of customer who is impulsive and just like wants to get it, is excited, sees it and just goes, I want to buy this. They're not going to get it from, because they're not even going to know about you. And then like that, you start to see how, if you follow that mindset of how the way you operate is like a magnet for a certain type of customer. And like, so I'll give you an example. When you hear about a tin company that says, I don't pick up the phone, I just send it to voicemail and I call them back later, or I answer my emails at the end of the day. Okay. And I'm not talking about if you have a text message service in place and so on. I'm talking about the people who literally are like, I'm busy and I'll get back to all the inquiries at the end of the day. Well, at the end of the day, you're going to skim off all the impulsive people from that. The people who are just like ready to buy it. I don't care. I don't care how much it is. Just like, I want to get it done. Those people are gone from your leads now. You're going to call them, may or may not get in touch with them, but they're not part of your customer base. And like, you see that just the way you're handling your business, you end up attracting a certain type of customer. And then in your head, that's the type of customer that exists. And you start to create a narrative around that and around the industry and why that exists. And that is a path to nowhere good.
So, I think just to sum up what you're saying is, look, you get what you put out.
Yeah.
Right. I met a dealer in Miami about 15 years ago, and he said, Harry, there's no way you're going to be able to sell this expensive a film in Miami. Just not happening. They're not out here. And back in the days, we had the yellow pages. And what I did was I would always take a picture of the yellow pages, or I would, take the yellow pages with me. from the hotel that I was staying at, right? And I opened it up and I said, "Look, here you go. The reason you're not going to get that price is look at what your ad says. It said." For the best prices, call here. You're not saying anything about quality. So, in a nutshell, but I think the first point we need to focus on is that you're going if you're not getting certain types of business, then you got to understand that the honey that you're putting out is attracting a different kind of bee. So first look in the mirror and see. The second thing you brought up was in terms of timing, right? In terms of phone calls and timing and how quickly you get back with the customer. Look, guys, there's a reason our business does this in the summer and in the winter it slows down. It's because we are that radiated heat that window films help with is impulse. People want an immediate thing. And today's customer is so empowered that if you don't talk to them right away and you call them in 48 hours, they're like, you know what? I've moved on. If you call them in 24 hours, they've moved on. So whatever it is that you're doing, if you need an answering service, at least so somebody can hear that customer out and say, oh, Mr. Eric, sure, thank you. And what are some of your problems? No problem. I'm going to have Harry call you within 3 hours, right? That's enough to at least buy some time. So if you're not answering the phone or if you don't have, get an answering service. That lead, by the time somebody calls you, it's costing you so much money that you have put out that you can't let it go astray.
Yeah, and if you get an answering service, which I would say would be like Plan D, just because I hate answering services. But if you do, because I agree with you, it's better than nothing. So it's like if you're, it's
So
about progress, not perfection. So an answering service has its place. I suggest if you're able to alter the scripts, which you usually can, a good reason for why you're not available should be that you're currently on a project. Because if you're currently on a project, that I understand you're tinting windows. I want you to tint my windows. You're busy doing windows. I can understand that. If you're just, I'll call you back later, it doesn't feel the same. So those little types of verbiage can
sure.
actually affect how somebody feels, you know?
And you can spin that the right way. Remember when you're at the doctor's office and you're sitting in one of those waiting rooms and the doctor is just taking ages to come there? The staff will say, look, Mr. Eric, the
It's the
reason the
best.
doctor likes to spend, yeah, the doctor likes to spend a decent amount of time with each patient. That's why it takes a little bit longer. So all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, you know what?
Right.
By the time that my time comes around, so in a similar way, you can definitely spin. Eric, I want to talk about the price side of things. When people get frustrated when they're asked if they can do a job for this much. So I've seen a lot of people get offended
Yeah.
when they say, "Well, you know what? You charge $300 and somebody can do it. I can get it done for half the price."
Sure.
And dealers get offended by that. And so, give me your thoughts. And I mean, I would definitely not get offended by that. But I mean, how
Oh,
would you handle it?
I mean, you definitely never, never, never should be offended. There's nothing offensive about it. It's all about communication and understanding. So if somebody does not understand the difference in price, if you quote, 100 square feet at $1,000, let's say, or 950, let's say it's frost, and they say, I got somebody, or I can go on Amazon and buy it myself for $25. You're a ripoff. Okay. The only thing you can do there is spend some time letting the customer. So let's take that example. You tell me, hey, I can get it for $25 on Amazon. I'm going to say, well, first and foremost, you can get frost film on Amazon for $25. However, you have 100 square feet. So if you actually figure out how much film you're going to need, it actually comes out to much more than that. Now, that quality of film is not going to be the same quality of film that we're installing in your windows. Also, the film comes with a lifetime warranty. Have you ever installed tint before? It's much more challenging than you think. So if you want to try it yourself, I understand, but please keep the door open to calling, because this is something that we've been doing for 25 years. We know how to make it perfect. You have a beautiful home, and so like when you take the time to just show them that, hey, there's a reason you can do it yourself. Look, I can go buy oil for my vehicle at $36 and go put it in, but I pay 80 something because I'd rather somebody else do it for me. So it's the same idea. I just have to understand the value in why. And getting offended leads nowhere. When somebody, annoys you as a customer, like, here's the thing. If you start in your head creating a narrative, we're going to be in business for a long time. And if you start creating a narrative in your head that when people ask a price and think it's too expensive, I get annoyed. Then every single time somebody asks a price, you put them into a category in your brain and you get annoyed. You feel the feelings of getting annoyed. What I tried to do is when a customer would be, and you can already see it in my face, when a customer would be annoying to me, I would try and laugh and I would try to make it, because if I'm laughing, I'm smiling. So I'm already going to sound better to the customer than if I start to get upset and they can hear it in my voice. The next thing is I take it as a challenge and I go, I need to make this work in my favor as best as possible. It's like a hostage situation, or like you have a gun to you. You know, you're like, hey, let's calm down. What's going on here? How can I help you? Because I don't want anybody upset. I feel like maybe there's some confusion here. Is there something I can clear up about the product or the service? That because it's just window film or whatever it is. But like you want to take it in a nice way, because if you start to get aggressive, they're going to get more aggressive, and you're wrong because you're the business and they're right because they're the customer. So you wouldn't want to escalate matters when you don't understand something. If you are the customer, don't do that to them. It's never right. You never ever, there's never a reason. If you, one thing anybody can take away from today is like, there's never a reason to be upset with a customer. Never.
In fact, on the contrary, is my approach to that is hey Eric, look, I get it. There are so many do-it-yourself products available that you can buy for 25. You have to put yourself in that person's position and think about something that you are not educated about. So let's just, we're using carpet as an example. So think about something you're not educated about and say, okay, well, that's interesting. Look, Eric, I totally get it. There are a lot of do-it-yourself products. Let me tell you why we at Harry's Window Tinting charge $1,000 a square foot. And that
Sure.
reason is that, do you know that? So you got to help educate them, and you got
Sure.
to actually not scare them, but you got to educate them. So what I would say to you, Eric, is that, Eric, in do-it-yourself products, you are taking the risk. You have to squeegee this thing. You're taking the risk of breaking your glass. You've got some beautiful windows in this house. Each one of those windows could be $1,000. So
Right.
yeah,
You
you
break
may
one
save
and this
this.
is a waste.
It's a
Right.
waste. Second thing is that you could hurt yourself. Look, you're dealing with glass. If that glass breaks, it's not worth it. Next thing is we carry insurances so that when we come into your house, we are thing. Now the next part is that, let's say, Eric, that you have to redo it 3 different times. It's already cost you $75, and it's still not going to get done right. So one should really put yourself in their shoes. And first, so I hear you on the laugh, Eric. I'm not big on the laugh because some people get offended by
No, I
that,
don't mean
but
like
by
I'm
the
not in
laugh
their
as well.
face literally laughing at them. I would typically be on the
Okay.
phone and I start to smile on the phone because,
Okay.
I'm
Just to
there to help.
change.
It's just, yeah, you're just there
Got
to
it.
help. Like, the tone's got to stay there. If you start to elevate your tone, like they hit a nerve, you already know something's
Sure.
up. If I ask you about price and you get upset, something's up. You know what I mean? And
Right.
what's up is somebody's offended, but from a consumer end, it feels like maybe you had something to hide or something that's not as you're not comfortable talking about, and that leads to, you know, weird thoughts.
And even if you have to let that go, so let's just say, Eric, they are convinced that $25 a square foot is the right number for them, and that's what they want to do.
Yeah,
You say, hey, Mr. Eric, look, I totally understand. I'm a businessman, but I'm a consumer myself as well. So I understand that I would want to save money too. Here's what I'd like to do:
yeah,
is don't buy a lot of it. Okay, don't buy a lot of it. Try it out. If you're happy with the results, great. If not, you need to call us and we will show you. We have a lot of references. I can send you pictures. I can do this. I can do this. It's not as easy as it looks, but I get it. Try it out. Keep
sure.
our number. Would love to hear back from you.
Now, the other side to this is you have tons of businesses that have done a great job building their online reputation as well as their local reputation. And if you do that, what ends up happening is you end up getting enough of the customers who are just trustworthy of you. Hey, you have the best reviews. hey, we know you're the shop to come to. I read the reviews. They stop questioning because they know coming into it that you're the company for them because they're looking for a high quality company. So when you are in that position, I feel like a lot of shops that do a great job then become challenged with, hey, we have enough of our good customers. What do we do with these annoying ones? We just have to basically minimize the time they're taking because I have plenty of other people who don't ask these questions. Why do I have to answer them? So like, let me ask you, what do you think you should do with somebody who's saying, I'm answering 80 calls a day, 20 of them schedule without thinking twice. Why even talk to the other, you know, 60?
Yeah, and that's a good point. So the issue there is, Eric, people finance houses for 30 years, right? 12 months, that's 360 payments. Do you know what the credit reporting agency sees? It's that one late payment, not the 359 that you made on time. So, we live in a world of reviews, and we live in a world, more importantly, and those are customers you may say, look, I get it. We're can I get a little bit of time and call you back? If your phone's ringing off the hook and you've got customers thing, it's not something that you want to be rude to, or you want to say I don't care about you. Maybe what you do is you just prioritize them and say, hey, Eric, is it okay if I called you at 3 p.m. today? I'd love to go over with you on some of the
What about I have no
reasons
time?
why you should pick.
What about the shops who just say I have no time for that? I'm not calling them at 3 p.m. I get out of the shop at 7 p.m. I've tinted for 12 hours and I'm not calling this guy. Or like, I don't want to do
I
that. I don't know. Where do you think you go from there?
I think that there's still a shorter route to it. In other words, you can have a cheat sheet, right? The cheat sheet could be, Eric, look, I totally understand. Here are three reasons I'm going to leave you with. Number one is look at our reviews. Number two is look at our experience. And number three is look at all the images that we have. And if after that you still don't, we still have to treat them with respect, just like we would like to be treated with respect. And so what you want to do is you want to just create back in the days, what you call the cliff notes, just a 60-second pitch. And then you also want to create some resources. Like if it's your website, maybe you
Right.
have a landing page on your website that says why Eric's window tint,
Sure.
right? And then you just say, hey, Harry, I'd love you to talk. Have a look at this, and if you still are interested, we would love to talk to you again. If at some point you don't, keep our number in the future if there's something we can do for you. But you got to still. I say we don't go from all or nothing. We go from all to take a baby step, and the 60-second version, and get rid of that.
Yeah, I think the like exactly what you said about the website is like if you look at it like this, hey, I'm going to answer every question that ever gets asked to me, but I'm going to answer it once. Because once it's asked of me, I'm going to add it to the website and just create this clear place that has the answers to all the questions that I get asked all the time that I'm so annoyed with answering. So that when a customer calls, you can say, you know what, we've created a resource for you on our website. All the questions are there about the different film options, about the pricing, about the scheduling, everything you can find there. And if you direct them there, like you said, it's worth it. It's just a matter of if you're answering the same question a million times, then just think maybe you need to do a better job of putting that information out there so you're not asked the same question a million times, right? I mean,
Yeah,
a good
and on
quote.
this
Like,
topic, the
yeah,
one thing, yeah, the one thing I've realized is that the most difficult of customers, if you turn those around, they're your best salespeople because they were hard to get in. And if you're able to convince them, then they're going to go talk about you more than anybody else. So we had a little crack in our house on the floor, and I thought we had a foundation issue. So I called up a foundation company. They said, "Hey, come, it's $3,000 to fix it." Right? And I was like, "That doesn't sound right. $3,000? That's it? It's just too cheap." So I called up another foundation company, and they came out, and I had to wait a week, right? But I'd heard a lot of good things about that. They came out after a week. They looked at everything, and I asked them a ton of questions. Like, I mean, I beat them, right, like, to find out. Eric, their comment was, Harry, this is the tiles were not laid right. You don't have a foundation problem. I am their biggest fan. They didn't even charge me to give me that advice, right? So,
Hmm.
and I was really hard. I was like, how do you know this? How do you know? I mean, I think I have a problem. I called you out to here to get a big, I mean, I was happy with the answer. Don't get me wrong. So if you take those difficult customers, they're going to be your best salespeople. They're going to refer you more than all the ones that went home relatively happy if you were able to convert one of these. And, people say do it for the reviews. I say do it for you. The reviews will come later. Do the right thing and the review will follow. If you do it just for the review, what you're going to do is you're going to have this feeling inside of you, which is, damn it, I just gave that job away just because so he wouldn't say something bad about me. Don't do it because you're going to leave with a bad taste in your mouth. Do it for you and the reviews follow
Yeah.
instead of the other way around.
So we got a couple comments I want to address.
Right?
Chamal Jose said, Eric, people
Yeah.
won't read all the info on the website. So I definitely understand that some people won't read all the information on the website, but put into the context of the suggestion, what we're talking about is if you're a shop that is overwhelmed with inquiries, which a lot of them are, and you're saying, I have enough customers that just schedule. I don't, how do I deal with the ones who have a million questions? This is just a way to deal with them, maybe convert some of them, and you're still doing it in a way that makes sense. The other side to this is when you put information out that you start to fill, you start to fit, like you start to fill a need where there's people out there, there's consumers that are searching the web for prices and they're not calling. So they're looking for a website that has the prices, or they're looking for a website that has the answers to their questions. They don't want to call. So you start to now fill, you start to fit in perfectly for those customers. And so by you're solving kind of like an annoying customer issue, and then you're setting yourself up for a very easygoing customer that way. If you just simply say people aren't going to read the website, you're setting yourself up for nothing. Nothing.
But there's another way, Eric. There's another way, right? So you can take the link of that page, right? When the customer calls in, you can take the link of that page and text it to them and say, look,
Of
I
course.
get it that you don't want to navigate my site. Here's the link to the page. You can
Right.
take a screenshot and
Yep.
send it to them of the different questions and say, look, I totally get it. I'm a consumer. My philosophy is I'm a consumer as well, right? I'm not a consumer in this market, but I'm a consumer in every other market. So let me tell you how I go about it is tell me why,
Well,
right?
I don't know
So
if you're going to have
so
that
there are
long
different ways.
conversation if you're really busy, but I do agree that you'll have the links handy and you can say, hey, I'm going to send you a text. I got to get off the phone because I'm in the middle of a project. I'm going to send you a text right now that has all the pricing and all the information, and just click on that. And then if you want to schedule, you can just send us a text back, or if you want to call a call when you're ready to schedule. And I look forward to
Sure.
taking care of you, and send them the link like you're saying. Shamal said they'll call you regardless. Some of them will call you regardless for sure, but some of them don't. And like it's about progress, not perfection. So like getting more customers in there and spending less time doing it, even if not perfect, it's still progress, still gets you more business. Cody,
Plus,
go ahead.
yeah. Plus, I want to add one more thing. So, Jamal, another thing that you are able to do is right now the customer has one question or two questions that they're calling for. If you have a proactive effort, you are able to answer so many other questions that they've not even thought of that you are better at. That
Yeah.
by the time they get done with that, they have added their own value to why they should do business with you, and not just that, you've educated them to call your competitor. Hey guys, Harry's window tinting, do you carry the same insurances? Do you carry these insurances? Now you've educated them,
Right.
you've set the bar. It's a win-win.
So Cody pretty much gives that example in a way. He said we use our Facebook page as a resource, especially when homeowners ask what it's going to look like applied on the glass. Always say we have plenty of jobs installed with your chosen film on our Facebook page. See, that's a perfect method because then what you end up with is you're getting them to now go to your Facebook page. They're going to look at it. They're going to see all those jobs that you did, all those pictures. So now they're going to feel more comfortable. And then if they go check maybe a competitor's Facebook page, they're going to find nothing, or they're going to find car pictures if it was a home, because Cody does mainly flat glass. And you're setting yourself up to set the bar. If you send them the link and you say, look at our great reviews, now they're going, well, they had great reviews. These other people, they only have one review. And like it's not about
And,
one thing. It's about setting up all your ducks in a row to make it work for you.
right. And one thing I want to talk to Cody about is real quick is that Cody, that as you have images on your website, don't just have as a retailer as a dealer, don't just have beautiful, huge houses. Have some mediocre, have some average houses so that if I am calling in and I've got a smaller house as opposed to some of the ones you're showing on your website, I don't
Right.
feel right
Right.
intimidated that, oh my God, Cody just does high end stuff. If you do smaller jobs, then attract a
Right.
lot of different types of fish with it. Yeah.
Right, because that's 100% accurate. Because you start screwing with the natural selection of like people that maybe have a smaller house and want a premium, or people have a big home and they want a good price. They need to see you do everything, because when you do everything, you must have fair pricing because you're able to service everyone. If you just do elite stuff, then maybe you have really unreasonable pricing and you're paying for something. I mean, you start putting things in people's head that doesn't lead to more business for you. You know.
Eric, I also want to bring up, on the auto side, I also want to bring up a common misconception that some people think. Look, Mike, you and I both know Mike Narong in Houston. They have one of the biggest and
Not one
most
of the
beautiful shops.
Not one of the. It's
The
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 biggest,
yeah the
hands
the
down, the
and not
biggest, most
only
beautiful shop.
yeah, and not just that. That guy, Mike, is such an amazing guy. I mean, he's a really good friend of mine, and just a good guy overall. So I want you to think about from the perspective of there are customers that walk into his shop, and the first thing you may think is, "Oh my God, I am going to pay for the rent of this shop," right? But guess what? He is busy. There are different types of customers along the way. So just because you have a nice website or just because you have a nice shop does not mean you will attract the type of bees with the type of honey that you put out. So keep that in mind as well. That don't get
Yeah, and with that
the
said, like when they see your shop, like I can't stress enough how important it is that you, like everybody understands, like customers are basically judging you off of your website, your Google locations, the pictures, the words they read on your website. These are one-time things. The uniform you wear to their home, the vehicle wrap you have on your vehicle. These are all one-time things. These are things you put in place. You get a shirt designed and embroidered. You get a website made, properly worded with pictures and a gallery and so on. You have reviews. You have these things set up once, and that becomes how your business, the vision of your business, that like completely, you can know you're great, but that's how you show you're organized and have your ducks in a row. And when you set that stuff up once, it's really like, being able to set up a giant dealership or a giant mall or a giant impressive anything, but you're doing it on the internet virtually, basically, and wraps and stuff like
so
that. Go ahead.
so 15 years ago, that all of these things used to be two primary things, two or three, right? Number one is your business card that you would leave behind.
Right.
Look, nobody cares about business cards nowadays.
No.
Nobody cares about business card. It's your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, your Instagram page. That's it. Second thing it used to be your yellow pages ad because that's where everybody would look in the yellow
Right.
pages, right? And the third thing it would be your physical location. Look, I've got a friend of mine who has a very successful tint shop and in a very busy intersection. And he said 90% of his business, 90 plus percent of
Internet.
his business
Internet.
is comes through the internet. He said, if
Of
I
course.
didn't own this property, I
Right.
wouldn't even be here. I would be in a nice, clean shop without having to pay the premium
Who's I
of
mean,
this.
some people are pulling in here and there, but like 99% of the people are shopping on the internet. You're going to Google and you're typing in a search. That's how, I mean, you got to just think, how do you find stuff? Like if you're looking for pizza, do you drive around or do you go on your phone and type it in, or your computer? You don't, who drives around looking for things, you know?
Uh, Eric, how I also want to touch on a little bit of in terms of customers that are a little extra, the more needy customer, right? Hey, Eric, this window has not dried, or Eric, there's a little scratch here.
Hmm.
How did you guys back in the days? How did you handle that?
It was always an overwhelming, like we wanted to give them an overwhelming feeling that they were 100% taken care of. No problem. So for obviously, like everybody's got to get dry and care instructions. Like you have to go over that with them. You have to go over that for flat glass. You have to go over that for automotive. If you don't go over it, you're going to get people who start to get suspicious of things when they see bubbles and they're already going to get upset. And you may find out about it once they leave a review. And when they leave a negative review and now you get to talk to them, they're already upset with you because you did a shitty job in their mind. And you're upset because you can't believe that you did such a perfect job and they're going to leave you a bad review over a normal part of the tint process. So, first of all, dry care instructions, super important to go over. As you finish the dry and care instructions, letting the customer know the warranty and how they're covered if this ever bubbles, fades, peels, cracks, or whatever the coverage is. But by explaining that they're completely taken care of, and that you'll come out and take care of it if it's their home or if it's their car or whatever, by explaining that, you're giving them a sense of it doesn't even really matter. So if I get a bubble, I get it, it's fixed. Okay, so I don't even look for bubbles because it's not even a problem if one happens. Like, you're just setting everything down. And then if somebody calls, the best thing to do if they tell you they have bubbles, it's a modern day, hey, do you mind sending a text or an email with a picture or a video? I can tell you if it looks normal or if it's something that a normal part of the curing process, or if it's something we need to take care of for you. Either way, you're taken care of. Don't sweat it. If they say no, okay, no problem. Can you bring it by, or can we come to you? You just have to, you're going to take care of it. The answer is you always have to take care of it 100%. Be willing, go out of your way, make it happen, show them that it's not, don't do it and sound like they're pulling on an elastic band. Do it like, yeah, no problem. Like, absolutely, like, that's part of the service. Not like, yeah, I guess I'll take care of it. I could come out 3 weeks from now. I'm busy. I'm booked out. You can't do that. If you do that, you're setting yourself up for freaking miserable days.
And look, in some of you are in larger cities and stuff. So if you are going to do that, and if you are going to push going back to them a little later, then the way to let them know is that, hey, Mr. Eric, I want you to know, first of all, that this is covered. You are going to be taken care of. Now, we're booked out a couple of weeks.
Right.
We're going to be there in 2 weeks, but I want you to rest assured. And if you want me to send you an email that makes you feel better, I'll happily send you an email that we'll be there in 2 weeks and you will be taken care of. So sometimes in bigger cities like Los Angeles or Houston or some of these other times, you can't just drive 60 miles to go fix one window right away, but maybe you have a job coming up in a week or two out in that area. So you
Right.
can buy time. Look, as long as I, the customer, know that you're going to take care of me, I'm okay
Right.
with saying, all right, come by a week later or 2 weeks later, or and I may even give you some time. As if you said to me, hey, we came out here, the windows still have a few bubbles, Harry, they'll go away in a month, but rest assured, I will send you an email that if they're not gone, you're taken care of. I may even say, Eric, I'll give you a month, no problem.
Right.
Right.
So
So
go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, there's a couple comments I want to address real quick. Daniel Puente said people still want business cards. 1,000% you should have business cards. Every customer you go to, every single customer should get a business card. The second you meet them, you're handing them your business card. I think the context of what we were saying was more along the lines of, it used to be one of the main pillars in how somebody viewed your business. It was one of the few opportunities you had to put your business out there. Yellow pages, business cards. Now it's a smaller part of that. People are kind of looking at your Facebook, looking at your reviews, looking at your website. They're forming an opinion there. The business card is one part of it, but it's a part of it that's more in the middle of the sale process and less of a determining factor in their head versus everything else that goes into it. So if you have a shitty website and no reviews, but you have a badass business card, that worked perfectly in 1990. It doesn't work at all now.
Right. So, but yes, you should have agreed. So it is, again, it's a nice thing to have, but it needs to be a small piece of the pie, whereas it used to be a huge piece of that pie, is what we're saying. The other thing is that, you connect to your customers, whether if you've got an automotive customer, if you've got this, ask them and connect to them, because the business card is, I want you to think about this. The business card is like a needle in a haystack. They've got a bunch of business cards. It goes there. The connection through social media is a relationship. You can see what they're doing. You can see this. You may be able to maybe they got window tint for their car and then they got their car painted. You may be able to like them and say, wow, that color really complements your car or something like that. It's called taking a transaction and building a relationship on a constant basis. So you are right. Look, it's good to have business cards and decent business cards for sure. Just don't be entirely dependent on them.
Yeah, and Lance asked a great question. He said, and when your manufacturer doesn't take responsibility. So, one of the things we would proactively actually explain in the warranty process is you're
Hmm.
100% covered with this window film for whatever the warranty is. And we back that as well as the manufacturer. So, what that means for you, if you have any issues, you can call us. We'll take care of it for you immediately. And then we deal with the manufacturer after that. So, you're not delayed, you're not dealing with any hassles or paperwork. We take care of it for you because that's the kind of business we are. Now, with that said, if you move or whatever it is, this is a nationwide warranty or whatever the warranty is. Another dealer in your area can, of course, service you. But if there's any issues, we want you to call us so we can make sure it's perfect for you and we'll handle the hard stuff. And that sort of thing also is essentially free to you in a sense. It's free unless they cash in on it. But even at that level, just free. That's a free value add that you can add to every customer. That when they talk to other people and they say, "What's your warranty?" They go, "You have a limited warranty from the manufacturer. I'll give you the paperwork once it's installed." Those two things sound completely different and they cost the company at face value the exact same amount. And then at the end of the day, if there is an issue and your manufacturer, like you suggested, doesn't take responsibility, then number one, of course, you should have taken care of your customer. It's your customer. So take care of your customer. And then on the flip side, you go, well, my manufacturer didn't take responsibility. Do I want to keep going on with this manufacturer? Because it is what it is. If they don't want to take responsibility, you still want to take care of your customer. You don't want to pass down the shitty service because if you feel they were responsible, you don't want to pass that down to your customer. You want to absorb that as the company. You have to. So you take care of your customer and you decide, hey, sometimes you have disagreements with the manufacturer. I'm not saying you jump ship, but ultimately, big picture, you decide whether they share the same values that you share and your expectations align with what they're going to do for you. Harry, you're a manufacturer, or what do you think?
Yeah, good point. You know, the difference between fault and responsibility. And Lance brings up a good question, a good point. And I was going to talk about this earlier, but I think since Lance brought it up, this is a good time. You know, there are times, sometimes that there are certain customers, Eric, that you wash your hands off. You know, there's certain customers that are taking you down a path that you have to wash your hands down of because they are just very, very intensive, and it's a repeated pattern. So you get that one customer that does the same thing again and again and again and again and again and stuff. So that can also happen. But again, there's a difference between fault and responsibility. So I agree with you, is that take care of the fault and then deal with the responsibility.
Yeah,
Um, I, you have any are there
I'm
comments on
I'm
this?
reading
Because I
through
want
them, like just trying to see if anything stands out. But so Christina said we like to follow up with the customer a month after as well to make sure they're still happy and hear the changes they've noticed in heat reduction and use that info for the blogs. It's great content for your blogs. It's a great idea. It's also another opportunity to mention a review. Your customers telling you how happy you are. You can say, hey, would you mind putting that in written form and leaving it on our Yelp page? That'd be super helpful. I mean, I ask people for that when we're doing training and somebody says like, this is the most incredible thing for my business. I go, I love hearing that. And I would also love if you would mind typing that and putting it on the internet somewhere. So don't be, it's not, it's
Sure.
how you go about it. And, you have nothing to lose. It's a good follow up. It shows you care and you stand behind your product and service.
So, Eric, there's some frustrations in the automotive side of things too. I saw a post the other day that said something along the lines of, "Look, we've got a 20-year-old car and the window regulator stopped working, and they blamed it on me." So how does I want to hear your angle, and I've got my angle on it as well. But how would you handle something like that, which is it's a 20-year-old car, somebody comes in and says, "Hey, you tinted the car and the window regulator went out."
So, okay, we kind of you have to almost be in the context of the customer because we can imagine different scenarios. We can imagine a scenario where like my mom gets her windows tinted and she's just like the window's not working. Is there something wrong? And then you're like, yeah, the regulator went out. And she just looks confused. And then there's the one where you're like, I feel like I was set up. I feel like somehow this window was made to go down once, and this guy is only getting his car tinted
Yeah.
because he set me up for this. Now,
Sure.
what you can do is explain, look, We do press the button to move the window down when we're tinting it. We press the button to move the window up. We in no way are touching the electrical, or we're no way using it any differently than normal use. So, this is an older car, and it seems like it was just kind of bad coincidence that the window, stopped working. You have to read the response. If they look at you and the fire starts coming out of their ears and they're like, this is bullshit or whatever, you say, look, I understand why you're frustrated. Stuff like this is super annoying. We're going to take care of it for you. I have a shop that I can refer you to. I can get a quote or whatever it is. Or if you can get a quote, we'll send us a quote and whatever it is. But like at that point, my opinion, the answer to your question, you pay for the regulator and you consider it like if you were a supermarket and a child came in with their mother and the child strayed off and slapped a tomato sauce on the ground. You're not going to force that lady to pay for the tomato sauce. You're going to clean it up and you're going to say accidents happen and you're going to move on the day. You have to know a certain part of that exists in your business, whether it be you're set up for a regulator or something falls over or there's a nick in the leather that you say you couldn't have did, but they say wasn't there before. So stuff like that, you just have to know that you don't know for sure it wasn't there before. You can be pretty sure it wasn't there before, but if you don't have pictures or a video, you don't know it was there before, no matter what you think. So you have to know that the opportunity for you to be wrong and the upside being when you take care of the customer leads you to the only one solution, which is taking care of the customer, because it's not a court of law. You're not on Judge Judy. You don't win if the customer leaves unhappy. That's a losing scenario for you. So
Agreed. As long as the customer doesn't keep doing the same thing, right,
of
over and
course,
over again, and right,
they're there for all four
make sure I
regulators.
clarify.
Just
Yeah,
tint my
because we
driver's
have
window today.
yeah, yeah, just do that's a good one because companies have like Eric, we have about 100 plus customers, right? And then so you can see a pattern of 99 of them or 98 of them, and then you can see the one or two,
Sure.
a pattern of those as well. So obviously, the goal is not to let that one customer base the rest of your base your decisions on the rest of your customers. So I would take
So with that
go ahead.
said, though, if you're not like, I'll say window regulator is like a one-off thing. It's probably going to happen like once every 10
Sure.
years. Just pay for it and move on with your life or
Yeah.
change it. But like, I think what happens more commonly than not is potential damage to the vehicle. So instances where like, somebody gets their car, they drive it from the dealer, they're super excited, right? They maybe drive it for a couple days, they let their wife drive it or their daughter or their son or whatever, the husband, and a couple days later, they go to get the car tinted or they get some PPF. They get it back, and that's when they become the inspection like specialist. And they start looking at it, and they look and they go, "Hey, there's a nick on the wheel over here. I didn't curb the wheel. It's brand new." And you're like, "Did you ever look at it?" So that I think is realistically could happen almost daily or weekly, unfortunately. So it is important to take before and after pictures of the vehicle, take before, do a walk around of the vehicle. It takes an extra minute or two, but it really can save you those hassles because again, it's not even just about identifying the damage to the vehicle, which is very important, but it's also showing the customer the level of professionalism that you have and the systems you have in place, which lowers any sort of fear that you might damage their car. Because if this is what you do, you're obviously in the business to make sure nothing happens to the vehicle. So I suggest best practice, you do a walk around video with the customer. You say, we're going to do the walk around and we're going to point out any damage. We do this on video and it's attached to your file forever. That already tells them you know what you're doing. They're not going to accuse you of bullshit when you went through that process with them. You upload it to your Tint Wiz profile. It's there forever. And you ever have a problem, you can go through that video and see if there was a ding there or a scratch there before and after the video, after the tint job. That's best practice.
So again, the key thing is proactive, whether it's a video, if you've got videos in your installation bays, being proactive, just like we were talking about being proactive in a house with the installation instructions and care instructions and
Right.
drying instructions. This is
Think
also...
Think about what video can provide you, whether you're in a home or you're in a business. You can take a video and you have 4K on just your regular phone, 4K, high resolution. You can zoom in like to anything you want, a fly on the wall, and see it. And when you're using video, it's not like, the picture didn't get the angle. You, for the most part, can find it. So like if you're not taking a video of like walk arounds of your car, if you're going into a consultation and there's windows above a stair, you take video of the surrounding areas because that stuff can be so valuable later on, a week later, when you're preparing for that installation to really look back and go, okay, you know, I remember it because when you're doing a lot of business, things are going to happen. And if you're not taking pictures and video, I just feel like you're wasting 2020 technology that is just like a luxury to have, that we can record real life, save it somewhere, and reference it back at any time.
And guys, don't let these oddballs shape the way you do business, right? There are going to be people like this that take advantage of the situation, right? I think I'd heard or I'd seen somewhere on a post where I wish there was somebody posted that, hey, can we put a list of for every city of all the troublemaking customers so that everybody around knows, I don't think you could do that. But I mean, in many ways, I wish that there was a place for all the customers that don't pay their bills that we could, that have been stringing us along, that we could post a place and so forth. But
there is. So there's three groups. It's like Window Film Pros, Window Film Revolution, Window Film United.
Don't give me ideas.
Or you know what?
Man.
I think the Feud would be a better forum for that, actually.
Yes. Don't give me ideas, man. So no, I'm just kidding. So, but again, don't let the 99, don't let that 1% of customers shape the way you do business, right? Just like in a manufacturing run, let me give you an idea. There could be 120 rolls that are made of a film, 120 rolls. Let me tell you, the odds of one of them being bad are very thin. It's either there's a problem throughout the roll or there's not. So just same way, look, you're going to have 100 customers and build in a bad debt for, in many, on the supplier side, we look at it as a bad debt. Build that in and treat your 99% of your customers still the same way that they deserve.
Yeah. And, just by being like, just by being a really nice person to your customer, informing them, being pleasant when they call, being happy to talk to them, and the whole process, just by handling a customer like that, you're really setting yourself up to where if there is kind of a minor issue, you probably won't, they either won't look or they won't care because that there's a different thought where you're like, I feel like I overpaid for this job. And then you're like, and then I see this little speck and you go berserk versus like, yeah, that guy was such a nice guy. He did such a great job. And you don't even look at that same speck because if so it really is like you're shaping so much with all these details of how you handle your business, how you answer the phone, how you respond to emails. Every aspect of it shapes your reality, basically. You're building your own business reality.
And guys, I'll tell you on the retail side, Eric, it's a lot easier to do that because maybe people will bring your cars again, but how often you do their houses, right? You may do one house or two houses for them or something like that. On the retail side, it's a lot easier to just say, okay, look, the margins are there as well. It's a lot easier to say, okay, Eric, we had a bad customer. We're going to write them off. Trust me, on our side, it becomes by the time we write off a customer, right? We have been through so much. There's so much history that, okay, I'm going to answer calls on a Saturday. I'm going to do this. We're going to give them extended terms. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. By the time we write off a customer, we have exhausted all possible means. And I'm sure there's still opportunity left even after that. So take that customer, the difficult customer, and handle them and move on.
Right. Yeah.
Eric, what about, so there are different types of difficult customers. There's the financial customer that could be difficult, right? That's causing the price issue. There could be one that's asking you a lot of questions, like we talked about.
Well, here let's throw one specific out there. There's the difficult customer who's upset. I think you brought it up before, either before this live stream or during it. The difficult customer that's upset because the amount of time, because you're booked out. Hey, you're booked out 2 weeks. And I want to take that same concept. So customer calls, you're proud. You have a successful business. You're working your butt off. And it just feels like some customers are ungrateful because they don't understand that there's a wait for your service. You can only do so much. So you're 3 weeks booked out. Look, I'm 3 weeks booked out. Take it or leave it type of scenario. Now, as a tint shop, I think from that mentality, I totally see how that can build. And in your mind, you're like, I've done a great job. I'm so good that I've been able to build this. If you don't respect that and want to wait for me, then buzz off. Now, if we change the ingredients to that same scenario and we say, well, what about from a manufacturer level? So, hey, Harry, I would like to order, 300,000 square feet at temperate 25. And you say, Eric, that's going to take about 3 months for me to get to you. And I'm going to go, 3 months, Harry? I need it now. And you say, well, Eric, we're a very successful company, but I'm only one man, and we only have so big of a warehouse. We can only order so much film, and I didn't see this coming. We're just busier than usual. Am I going to be okay with that? Or am I going to say, well, Harry, you're in the business of selling film, so you should be able to get me my film when I need my film. So when a customer now says, hey, Harry, you're in the business of tinting windows, you're telling me I have to wait a month to get my windows tinted. You go into a Starbucks and they tell you, hey, we're really popular. I don't know if you've heard of Starbucks, but we're on the stock exchange. So if you want your coffee, it's going to be 90 days. Come back in 90 days, we'll make you your Frappuccino. You would lose your mind. So where do you go with that?
So look, I've had this similar conversation with an automotive dealer of ours, and they were booked out about 3 weeks at the time. And I said, look, guys, 2 or 3 weeks, I don't remember. And I said, look, here's what I would recommend. What I would recommend is as you get that call, build in, your goal is to book out further, right? So you can do one of two things. Number one is you can say, look, I'm going to squeeze you in, but it's going to be X, Y, or Z, right? So you make them feel special, right?
What do you
So
mean?
the
Like more
first thing
money?
no,
Oh,
not more money. Like as in, so you squeeze them in and you say, look,
oh
I'm going to
yeah,
squeeze you in.
right,
So for the ones that you're losing, so that's option number one. So
right,
let's say you're so booked out that you can't even squeeze anybody in.
right.
Option number two is to say, hey, Eric, look, we are, a lot of our business comes through referrals. We're booked out 3 weeks, but here's what I'm going to do for you, Eric. Our ceramic jobs go for $400. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, if you're willing to wait, I'm going to give you a $25 gas card, and I'm going to buy you the best cup of coffee that money can buy for about $10, right? So I'll give you $35. I'll give you 25 plus coffee. If you're willing to wait, I would love to earn your business, but our referrals are off the chain. Eric, we don't even do a lot of advertising. It's just that the good words getting out there. So
Right.
I would really appreciate the opportunity, but give an incentive, guys. Book out. Let me tell you, you're booked out 3 weeks. If you can get incentives and book out 6 weeks, trust me, that money has gone right down. The fact that that person called you, Eric, for a bid means that you've already spent money on them, whether it's through a referral or advertising. So instead of losing what that lead cost you, which could be 30, 40, $50, take that and give it back to them and book them out further.
So that is perfect. I mean, that's what you got to do, because you can say raise your prices, you can say hire more people, but there's going to be scenarios where neither of those are options. So what you're suggesting, I think, is also great alternative. Now, something that I see often on Facebook, people posting that I know has no place in, I feel like has no place in the business. I just think it's a terrible move. Is two things that are almost the same. People post, I'm fully booked. They'll just post, I'm fully booked. I'm fully booked
Mm.
today. I'm fully booked this weekend. I'm fully booked for 10 days. Okay. So what you're doing there is you're putting out some sort of advertising for some reason, a message that says you're fully booked. So if somebody was interested in getting tint from you, they're going to see that you're fully booked. They're just going to go somewhere else. Okay. The same thing happens when people say like, oh, like during COVID, like I'm not answering the phone. I'll call people back at, once we know what we're doing, and stuff like that. Like I'll take down their name and number and I'll call. No. You got to talk to them. So like the idea being you can be fully booked, but if you talk to them, you have the opportunity to sell them on waiting, and at least you have their information and you can call them back. And if you just tell them I'm fully booked, you don't even know who that person is. You never get the opportunity. Like you're fully booked, but so it's just like one of those things, like don't Don't put out stuff there for your customer that's not good advertising. It just doesn't make sense.
And other than letting people know, I think it helped. It's a little bit more for your ego, which is, man, I'm booked out 3 weeks. You don't even have to put that out. Look,
No,
a customer,
let them call you.
you want to be inviting about it, and you want them to call you even if you're booked out 6 weeks. You want them to call you. Guess what? Maybe you can't. Maybe you have two different businesses, a flat and an auto. Maybe you're able to get a home out of it. Maybe you're able to do something else. Maybe you're able to say, hey, look, we'll do your car for free in 6 weeks if you get your $7,000 house window tint job or something like that. But definitely that you have to keep invitation open for them to keep coming at you.
And Christina said, not sure about auto side of things, but flat glass customers always want it within a week, unless specially requested a day in the future. They want the heat reduction now. So like, that's definitely a big part of the customer base. Like they're buying based off of discomfort, and they want to solve their problem now. So as a window film company, if you're trying to be strategic with the company, you have to go, that is part of the demand is now. So how can I be a company that services them now? If people want it within a
Yeah,
week,
but
I need to make sure my turnaround's 4 days, right?
yeah, but Eric, I'll say this, that I hear you. Look, nobody is booked out 3 weeks because they want that money 3 weeks later. They would
No,
rather have it today,
but I feel like they don't look
right?
at it as
So
a
I want to
problem. They look at it as like a badge of honor. I'm booked out 3 weeks, and it's not like,
sure.
hey, I'm booked out 3 weeks. I have a problem. I need more installers, or I need to get there's a bottleneck somewhere. Because if after 25 coffees for the day, Starbucks said we're out of coffee for the day, hey, we're booked out, or whatever it is, they sell out. You wouldn't say that's a good thing for the business that they're sold out. You don't go to the shelf, it's sold out, and that's a good thing. Ultimately, you want to have enough supply for all the demand. So that's all I'm
I want
saying
to
is
share something with
don't wear it as a badge
yeah,
of
no.
honor.
But Eric,
Go
you
ahead.
would be so surprised on what customers are willing, if you just show them a gesture, what they're willing to do. So for Christina's sake, I want to bring up an example. Christina, back in my day, about over 20 years ago, I used to manage some Taco Bells, right? Some fast food places, TCBY yogurt, Taco Bell, it's stuff, right? So one of the things that you'd be surprised that we had instructed our people to do, because sometimes those lines at a Taco Bell were like, you could wait there 12, 15 minutes, Eric. It was so busy, right? So, Christina, what we did there was we instructed the cashier when the waits were long, was to offer a 32-inch Coke or Pepsi, whatever it was, free of charge. Say, okay, Mr. Eric,
Yeah, I want cinnamon crisps.
we
I want the cinnamon twists.
all right. No, no, you're not getting that. You know why you're not getting that? Our margins on
I don't
Pepsi are
understand
much
why,
higher.
Harry.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. So listen, but here's what it was. It was like, Mr. Eric, we know. So Eric comes in and says, Harry, I cannot believe it. This is 15 minutes. I could have cooked a bloody steak in 15 minutes, Harry. And you're like, Eric, you're exactly right. I am so sorry for the wait.
Right.
What I would like to do is offer you a 32-ounce drink free of charge to apologize for the wait. And by the way, Eric, we sold that for about $1.30. You know what our cost was?
5 cents.
30 cents, including the cup.
Got it.
Right? For 30
Right.
cents, I took a belligerent
Of course.
Eric Divash who was worried that his tostada took
My
15 minutes.
cheesy gordita crunch. I'm still
Just
waiting.
cheesy gordita took 15 minutes, and for 30 cents, I bought a
Right.
calmer Eric Divash, right?
Right.
So again, Christina, here's what you can do. What does uh, frost film cost you? Christina, I can't say it, but let me tell you, it doesn't cost you much. Ask them, see if they have a shower door, and say, hey, look, while we're there, if you're willing to wait, we're booked out 2 weeks.
Yep.
And again, you want to you want to brag without bragging that you're busy. You want to say,
Right.
Mr. Eric, I am so sorry we're booked out. It's just that our referrals are booking us out so far. It seems like people really like our services. I'm so sorry, but here's what we're willing to do for you. We will do, if you have any shower doors, we'll do a nice frost outlay on it, on a certain piece of it, and we'll help you with that at no cost to you. Or what we'll do is we'll do this, or what we'll do is we'll clean your, a certain number of windows from the outside just as a goodwill gesture to show you, uh, what else we can do. So up the ante, guys, increase the size of the carrot,
Yep.
and you'll be surprised that that little bit. And we're in a good industry. Margins are good. Service is good. So we're able to give away something.
Yeah, and just like kind of expanding on the giving away stuff. So like if you get a bottle of like the glass cleaner, what's that cost? $4. If you take a nice microfiber,
Yeah.
you order them in bulk. What's that cost? Another $4 or $5. So you're at $10. You're under $10. But as a customer, I'm getting glass cleaner and microfibers. I don't really know what that costs. Another example would be shirts. You can get shirts printed, nice shirts printed for maybe $6. Well, if you're giving a $6 shirt to a customer, and maybe it's a little better than just your name plastered all over it. Maybe you make one with your name, but you kind of make it a little nicer, and costs you $6 like a shirt, and you give that to a customer. Well, in customers' mind, shirts usually cost about $10 to $30. So it's ways you're giving things out that like. Of course, you want to give them a shirt. It has your company name on it. Of course, you can give them glass cleaner. What's the big deal? But the value, it's there. You have to have it in your arsenal, kind of ready to. There's no real price on that. It's better, like something like that's better than $20.
Yeah. So Christina, another thing, and Eric, would be the microfiber towels. It's a dual purpose. Not only giving them, guess what? It's got your name on it. They're going to see that every time they use it. So you're in their face. You can even put, like, if you do auto as well, you can put residential, commercial, auto on there. Just something real small so that it, even if you're giving it to your commercial, if to your residential, if you're giving it to your automotive customer, you can even say automotive residential commercial. So now what they've got is they keep thinking, all right, every time they use it, I can get this down on my house or my building.
Yeah, cross selling is definitely like I know underutilized in general. Like when you're selling a car, how much how much effort are you really putting into trying to get into their home or vice versa when you're doing their home if you want to do their car. But Mike, I wanted to ask you. I feel like there's a lot of auto tinners out there that maybe get a flat glass inquiry once in a while. Hey, I love what you did with my car. Can you do my storefront? Or they just get the call or whatever. Maybe it's not a referral. And it's just like, understandably, they don't know where to start. Like, hey, I'm going out to a bid. It's a storefront. What's the skinny on? What do I do? What do I offer? And so on. Um, what do you think, like from your end? I don't know if you get calls like that, like you get inquiries for Veloce, and it's like kind of people who are a little inexperienced with that. But like, what do you feel like are the best resources for like getting started with that?
Look, I think that I would really, we've got such a great resource in the forums that I think, to your point earlier about being proactive, I think that there are two sides of it. There's a reactive side, Eric's window tinting that does cars, Eric's automotive window tinting gets a call. So I think that you should be priming yourself just to learn slowly a little bit about the residential commercial aspects, the flat glass aspect of it, so that when you actually get that call, you are more. But I really think that the forums are a great place to be able to. I wish, honestly, that there was a forum for newbies, because sometimes I've also seen on the forums that some of the
Great
experienced
idea.
tinters
I
get
love it.
mad about, hey, look, why are you asking, this question? This is a professionals group or something. So maybe if there was a group for newbies, maybe it could be newbie to the industry, maybe it could be newbie to automotive, or maybe it could be newbie to flat glass, and that would be a nice place to, as a car owner, the forums really help me as well, because what happens is, if I buy a new car or if I buy a different type of car, I can go there and there's so many people saying, oh my God, hey, just to let you know, when you're at a stoplight, it's best to put the car in neutral so that you're not using. I didn't know that, right? And just tips and tricks and so forth. So if we had like some newbie sections that it doesn't have to be newbie to the trade. It could be
Yeah.
newbie to flat glass, newbie to auto, or so forth. That would really help.
So just imagination time. A forum idea, like you just said, a newbie forum, maybe it could be run like this. You set up a forum, it's called, Window Film Newbies or whatever it is. And the concept behind it is you can only be in the group for like maybe 6 months or 90 days. And if you're a
Sure.
contributor to the group, if you contribute to help other people in the group, then you can stay forever. But if you're not a contributor, you get kicked out after that 90 days. So it's always like welcoming for new people to come in, because you get rid of that, like, I'm old and calloused and I'm just here to like make fun of the people coming in. Just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a graduation class, right? It's the freshman class, and then
Yeah.
after you've been there so long that you just graduate into the next thing. We just have to be cautious on that group. Whoever comes up with it is that you want to make sure that the consumers are not into that group, because they can come in as newbies and talk about X, Y, or Z and
Same
stuff.
way
So I think,
Revolution would be, right? Or like Revolution United Pros, like same kind of
yeah,
thing. I mean, I don't think
sure.
like that's that part would be hard, because if they're in the industry. Really, one of the things is making them answer questions before they join a group.
Hmm.
If somebody's not going to go through the trouble of answering questions, I don't know how much are you in the industry, and they can't answer that. Just don't.
Eric, what was the most difficult customer that you guys could think of that you had in LA? What I mean,
I
what
have
did
one
something
in
come to
my mind.
mind?
I have
Yeah,
one
tell me,
specific.
tell me.
So
Yeah, yeah. Uh-oh.
in 5 years, literally in 5 years, thousands and thousands of customers, every one of them, no matter what happened, no matter glass broke or something was damaged or they just were unrealistic expectations or they hated or they loved it, whatever. Out of everybody, none of them stand out to me except one. And
Uh-oh.
he was he was hired to do graphics for a doctor. So he was hired as like a marketing guy for a doctor, and he contacted us to do
Okay.
the graphics for the doctor. And the mock-up and then process, the whole thing was so back and forth, millions of changes, no problem, right? And then the day of the installation, his mind was changed as everything was printed and prepared. And then another time we went back and put it up, and it was another problem. Like, we just mind changed again. And like, this is somebody who approved mock-ups and so on. Now the problem really wasn't the back and forth and the money that makes it stick out to me. Really wasn't what did it. It's that he was so verbally abusive to everyone he spoke to. He was verbally abusive to me on the phone. He was verbally abusive to the installers. I mean, this was somebody who didn't hold back anything. And,
And he was the one making the changes.
he was the one making the changes on behalf of the doctor. And how it ended up playing out was, after I think the like third or fourth install, we explained to them, we said, look, we've installed all this film, we haven't been paid. We're going to call this a loss. We're not expecting anything of you, but we feel like maybe there's a better company for you. And that was the one and only time that I had to tell him that. I told anybody that. And what ended up happening was he ended up saying no problem and we're done. And a couple weeks later, we got a call from the doctor directly. And I said, look, you were involved in this. You know what happened. Like, we can't. Like, what do you want from us? And he said, he was super unhappy with the person as well, and ended up saying, like, we want you to directly do it. We designed it. We went and installed it. We got paid. He was super happy. And we did multiple projects for him after that. So, because he had multiple locations, and it was like, it was in like a high profile area in LA, and like, it was just a great job. And like, we got paid. Everything was great after that. But it kind of, it was the only one that I could tell you I remember every bit of it. I remember the guy's name.
Yeah.
And again, it was more like the verbally abusive stuff. But at the end of the day, like, as a company, he couldn't get to us because we were going to be super polite, and
Sure.
you were going to be mean to us. You can do that, but we're not going to do that to you. That's not what we do. Our installers too, they know the deal. They know what kind of company they're working for, and establishing that expectation and being real straight about it. Your staff has to know your real line and how you really feel about customers, which is they're everything and they're going to be happy. And there's never one time. And I'll like, when I would talk to our staff, I would give them an extreme example. So I would say something like, and I'm going to have to really tiptoe here. But Harry, I would say, I would look at you and I would try to judge what somebody could say to you specifically that's racist or whatever it is. And I would say it to him. And I'd kind of say in the sideways way, I go, if a customer says XYZ to you,
Yeah.
you understand that your job is to say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm here to help you. That's what it is. And just setting that, I mean, nobody wants to hear that, but you have to understand that. And I don't want I'm not telling you I want my employees or any staff to ever be put through that. And I'm not telling them I'm not saying I want them to put up with it. But what I am saying is that when you're faced with that sort of scenario, that's the best
Sure.
way to de-escalate it and make the least of it. Because what can happen if you don't have that expectation in place could be a physical altercation. It could be
Sure.
anything. So, but that's my way of, we understand that there's never a reason. I'm never going to get a call with, but he said, but you know what he did. And setting that in line and being, that's a super, you see, like that's a super passionate part of how you treat customers. It sets the tone, and it sets it for you, it sets it for them. If you are the type of business owner that talks shit about your customers in front of your employees, expect them to feel that way about their customers and then end up treating your customers that way. And then when you circle back in a Facebook group and say, I can't find people that treat customers the way I want them to be treated, you're missing the disconnect between the example you're setting and your expectations. You have to be the example for your expectations, or it's not going to work out.
So Eric, over the last 20 years, I can think of maybe two dealers that uh, over the last 20 years, right? And so for the first 18, maybe one, and for the last 2 years, maybe one, that have totally just gone against, you've given them a chance and they've gone against it. You've given them a chance and they've gone against it. And then you've given them a chance. I mean, people, Eric, that, look, uh, I'll take calls on a Saturday, Sunday. I enjoy it. If somebody's thinking of me, right? And then I want to touch on this point from the consumer perspective as well, is that, but there've not been a lot of people, but, that multiple. And again, in retail, it's a little bit easier because you don't deal with the same person. But when you're told the same thing over and over again, but I want to touch on, I do want to touch on the same thing in the consumer market, right? In the consumer market, and I just lost my train of thought there. Hold on one second. Right. Weekend calls and stuff, right? Right. So after
That's
hours
a great,
calls and
great
weekend
topic.
calls. I think we've touched on this before. Yeah, we've touched on this, but people get a little upset. Okay, look, I don't want to take a weekend call, and you don't have to, right? You don't have to, but I want you to know this: that when somebody picks up the call, I've even said that at your hours, and I'm very thankful that our team has been so good about after hours, weekends. I mean, and then we're business to business, so it's a little bit different, but even business to consumer, B2C. Um, if somebody's calling you, you can look at it as well. Oh, it's past 5 o'clock and I can't take the call, right? You can say that, but reality is that they're the ones. If they're calling you,
Right.
then they're doing you a favor, right? They're doing you a favor.
They're presenting an opportunity for you.
Yeah, yeah. And if you don't want to take it directly because there is a value of time, no problem. Hire somebody, even an answering service. Sometimes, Eric, if I speak to leave a voicemail as opposed to if I hear somebody say, "Hi, this is David with Harry's Window Tinting," and oh, I'm so sorry. Harry's not available right now, but if it's okay with you, I will have him. Can I just get a little bit of information about you so that you don't have to repeat it and we're better prepared for the call tomorrow morning? And just let them feel and talk. Do you have any questions for me? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question, but just things
Right.
of that nature. Then what it does is I've now got a connection. So to Christina's point, which is people want it done quickly, right? I've now got a connection that somebody is, and I now know who's going to be calling me. I'm going to have Ryan call you between 8 and 10 a.m., and Ryan will be able to answer your questions. I don't want to answer them incorrectly. So Eric, I'll have somebody call you. So
Yeah.
weekends are the same way, guys. Even on a Sunday, evenings, I do a lot of my research. We're getting some stuff for the house, and guess what time I do my research? I get home by about 6, 7 o'clock. My research is done between 7 and 10. If I knew, and I'm not saying you should have an answering service at 10, but if I knew that somebody would pick up the call at 9, they would get my business much faster because that's the time I'm doing my research, and that's the time I
Right.
want somebody available.
Yeah.
Right. So don't get offended. Sorry, go
Christina
ahead.
just said sometimes weekends are our busiest time for calls and quotes. So like, look, if you're a company and you say, look, at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I'm done, or I work Monday through Friday and my weekends are for my family or whatever it is, there is no problem with setting those hard lines. And what you do is either you hire somebody like you're saying here, you hire somebody in house, you hire a service, you do whatever you want, or you don't even answer. You do whatever you want. There's no problem there. However, if you're looking for more business, there's a lot of potential business between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. There's a ton of potential business on Sundays and on Saturdays, even for flat glass. That's what I'm talking about. There's a ton of business. So you capitalizing that is you taking an opportunity. And then, if we look again, I get it. I want to say it. I can't say it enough. If you say, I spend that time with my family, or I want to be disconnected from my company, or whatever it is, there's no problem with that. Just don't listen to this part. But if you're not, I want to just remind everybody how easy it is to respond to an email or a text message. Like, what day and age we're living in where you can get a text message from somebody who wants to spend thousands and thousands of dollars with you, whether it be a $5,000, $6,000 ceramic coating, paint protection, and tint, or for a home, it could be entire. And you get people who want to spend thousands of dollars with you, and they'll send you words to your phone that make a little ding, and you from your sofa with a beer in your hand, with your feet above your head, watching anything you want on TV, can close a sale and make thousands of dollars for yourself like that. So what I'm referring to is if you happen to be like, there was a post on Facebook recently where somebody got a text message at like 10 o'clock for a car, and their response was, seriously, at 10:30 or whatever it was, and the guy was like, all right,
Yes.
no problem, I'll find somebody else. And like, that guy, the business owner, went into the Facebook group totally expecting that Tinter was going to row behind him and encourage what he did, and everyone pretty much said, like, you don't do that. Either don't respond, which is fine, don't respond. You don't have to respond,
Right.
or be nice and do a good job and sell the job. But I just feel like at the end of the day, like, don't don't come up with some narrative in your head with how dare they. Because if you take that how dare they out, then you're going to go, wait, I can send this guy a text message and maybe make thousands of dollars. How well am I going to sleep tonight?
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning and your
So
first thought's going to be, man, I closed a deal last night. Like, as opposed to like, damn, you know?
So, Eric, one of the franchise trainings I went to up in your neck of the woods in Southern California, one of the first things they taught us was a basic principle of when somebody walks through that door, or when somebody is at the drive-through, or if somebody is whatever kind of business you're in, if somebody's calling you, texting you, they're calling you to put money in your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you don't want it, that's fine. Still treat them in a manner that is, that's respectful.
Right.
But the main thing is they're giving you an opportunity to spend money.
Right.
I mean, to give you money,
Right.
right? So if you don't want to do it and your time's precious, get somebody else.
Right.
Get somebody else. Get some help and
Right.
put something together.
And the
Would
difference
you
between how
laugh
you
at me?
respond to them, if you say something like, like, hey, I'm booked out, I can't, or whatever it is, just kind of like short and rude, like, you may not, maybe that's a hard line. But if you say, hey, look, we're booked out, so and so, my first available is this. Now, what are you looking for? And you start to have a conversation with them. I'm looking for privacy. Okay, well, we do have a great privacy option. It's going to give you, and you're explaining to them, hey, and then you circle back to, look, I am booked out, but we definitely want to take care of you. Like, would you be willing to X, Y, Z? And they say no. Well, what's going to happen? Maybe they call around and find out everyone else is booked up, and then they call you back. But if you were just one of the guys who said we're booked out, you don't want to wait. Okay, have a good night, and you just hang up the phone. You're missing that impression. You have, like you said, anybody who walks in the door, Anybody who calls you, they're trying to put money in your pocket. You have to take that opportunity. Like you should, not you have to. You should take that opportunity
Yeah.
if you're interested
And,
in growing your business.
and you don't have to do it yourself. You can find answering services. You can find people
You should
to
find
help you
people.
do.
You
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, to to help you do it. You do not have to take that call if you don't want to. You do not have to take that call yourself.
Yeah. You know what I didn't want to do? I didn't want to answer all the calls. You know what I did? I hired people to answer the calls. You have to think about that.
Yeah.
If you don't like cleaning the floor, hire somebody to clean the floor. You have to do that. And that's the beauty of business is it's a pipeline of money. It's a pipeline of success. And you have to look and route your pipes accordingly so the pipes don't get backed up. And so the pipes route to where you want them to go. Just route them the way you want them to go.
Yeah. The other thing is that keep in mind that every time somebody calls that you don't take, you spend money to get that call, whether you
And
realize
you're
it
putting
or
money in
not.
your
Even if it's
you're putting money in your neighbor's pocket too. You're going to fuel their next marketing campaign.
right,
That's the truth.
it's uh, you spent money for that phone to ring. It's not ringing free of charge. You have done something, whether it's even if it's just been in business for 20 years and you're getting referrals. You have spent money to get that call. So don't throw it away. Take that opportunity, and even if you don't get it, I remember that there was a customer that didn't go with us, but Eric, they always referred us. They said, "Look, it's not for, you guys are not for me, but I know who is right for you," and they gave us a lot of references for that.
Yeah, you really
So
don't know where a lead or a contact, where it's going to lead to or go. Christina asked a great question. She said, any thoughts on hiring a sales manager to send quotes? It's a hard task to delegate, thinking, could I have closed the deal if I had went, but would love to hear others, how others have managed this aspect of the business. Um, so just to kind of recap, any thoughts on hiring a sales manager to send quotes? It's a hard task to delegate because she'd be thinking, I could have sold the job. So my mind kind of went to two places. What it sounds like to me is hiring like a sales consultant, because I feel like, look, at the end of the day, for like a flat glass job, which I think is what we're talking about, Christina does flat glass. Um, you're 99% of the time you should be going out to the project and meeting the customer and showing them samples and measuring the windows. So at that point, you're providing the quote on site to them and then hopefully selling the job. So let's consider the question, should you hire a consultant, someone else to go handle the quotes? And I will turn it to you to start, and then I'll give my 10 cents after that. What do you think?
yeah, so it's interesting, Christina. You should listen to tomorrow's Super Thursday that I put out as well. If you're not connected to Veloce dealers or me, tomorrow's video is going to address something like this. And reality is that you should do what you feel you are good at and
Right,
enjoy.
right,
You should do what you feel you're good at. If you feel that you are the best person and you want to go close that sale and you are the best for the customer, then your focus should be sales and hire somebody to do the rest. The problem is, and the level of frustration arises when we try to do the things that we are not good at and we don't enjoy and we mess them up. Not only is there a feeling in my heart? I was talking to a dealer today, and I said, I mean, literally, we didn't get to that point, but what I really wanted to tell him is that you're a good guy. Stick to what you do well,
right.
right? And don't try to do the things you're not doing well, because if look, I'll tell you, if I had to pay the bills in my house, we have no power, we would have no water, we
Why?
would have nothing. We wouldn't have nothing, right? We wouldn't have anything. So my point is that my wife does that really well. She should have not been a dentist. She should have been an accountant. I hope she's not listening to this. So she's amazing, right? And those are the things that she does well. So
Right.
my point to you is that, Christina, do the things. So if if you feel that you are the best salesperson, then do that and hire an office manager to do operations. Give me your thoughts, Eric.
Yeah, no, exactly that. You have to look at, you have to look at all the different aspects of the business. There's the marketing end of it to get the, to set up the brand awareness. Like you're setting up your brand, you're getting that out there to generate customers because that's where it starts. You got to have customers. Then from there, somebody's got to answer the phone, somebody's got to schedule it, somebody's got to go out and do the quote, somebody else has to probably do the installation, and that's basically the meat and potatoes of the tint world. And it's not one job. You can hire an installer and you can be, like you said, you can be out there selling the jobs. You may like installing and may not like answering customers' questions, and you may not like doing quotes. In that case, hire somebody. You have to look at where your business is at right now, where you can afford to hire somebody to free up time. So maybe you're still going to do installs and consultations because it's too challenging or whatever, too expensive or whatever it is to hire an installer, and you're the best salesperson, so you're going to be the salesperson and the installer. Maybe that's the case, but maybe you need somebody to handle admin duties and help with phone calls because you're not going to be able to answer phones while you're talking to customers or installing film. So you just have to kind of break it down and do, like you said, do what you're best at, do what you love, and hire where you can hire and train what's most reasonable to train. One of my suggestions when it comes to hiring always is I love the idea of just hiring an installer. That's something that we always did, was we hired trained installers that were ready to go, and like that was it. And we had great success with that. But I also like the idea of, if you say, well, I can't do that. It hasn't worked. I can't find an installer. We'll go, okay, look at your own day and just say, what are the things that anybody could do? Like, you spend an hour cleaning the shop at the end of the day, or scrubbing things down, or you're pulling film off a shelf, putting it in the plotter, or you're answering emails. Anybody can answer emails. They have to be trained, but that's a one-time thing. It's not even a live thing. So, like, look at those things that are taking up your time and try to skim off what you can hire somebody to do for there. A lot of people, look, a lot of people, it's a guy in a tint shop. That's what it is. Most of the tinters are male. So an easy one to go is if you're looking for help and you're like, man, I don't know what to do. My head's going to explode. If you have a partner, like meaning like a personal partner, a woman or man that you live with and are in a relationship with, maybe that person is a good fit to help you in some way. Maybe they help you by paying the bills for your company. Maybe they help you by answering
Mhm.
emails, whatever it is. But that little bit of help is a ball, like a step. It's progress in delegating and separating. Maybe they start helping answering phones and emails, and then maybe they train somebody else to do it for you. Maybe they only had time to do it part time, but now they understand it and they can train somebody for you, something you could have never did if you're working at 110% installing. And so just look for whatever works and the opportunities you have around you.
So, Eric, I want to touch on something we were talking about earlier: late night calls and weekend calls, right? Guys, you guys have employees. I mean, even if it's an installer, you have an installer. Maybe you incentivize the installer. You say, "Hey, guys, here's what I'm going to do." Is because the installer still knows more. If you trust the installer, it's a decent person that's been with you. What you say is, "Look, Eric, here's what I'm going to do to you. You're my installer. I'm going to give you $50 to answer all the phone calls over the weekend," right? So let's say you do if you don't get a lot of phone calls, just say, "Look, I'm going to give you $20. Just, I'm
20 bucks.
just
What are
going
we talking about?
to,
I know you're just throwing out examples, but make it a
no, no,
little
I'm just,
higher.
yeah.
Come on.
And no, no, and I'm saying, plus I'm going to give you a bonus off of anything that comes through or something, right? So whatever that number is for
Yeah.
you, right? I mean, you incentivize your installer, give that money. Your installer knows more about film than any answering service or whatever service. By the way, what do answering services cost? Does anybody know?
They're
10,
not that
$15 an
cheap.
hour or something?
I don't know, but I feel like you're definitely, look, if you have a staff of a few people, I'm sure you can find somebody who's saving up for a house or a boat or needs some vacation money or whatever, and sometimes wants to work helping answer phones, emails, texts, and so on. So you're 100% right. I do recommend that everybody, if you like, if you I recommend everybody manages their phones through a system like Grasshopper or similar. What that is it's a app, it's a website and an app on your phone, and it allows you to kind of have a phone number that you can route to multiple places. You can route it to multiple phones to ring simultaneously. You can make it ring in an order, so if one doesn't answer, ring someone else. You can set schedules and so on. And what that gives you is complete control over your phone, so that If you're out of the shop, you're still getting them to your phones. If you're not going to be available, but somebody else is, it's a couple clicks and you can route calls to them and text messages and so on. And at the end of the day, you can see all the history. So if you're using kind of like an old school landline or all the phone calls come to your phone, you're kind of setting up a hard scenario for you because if the calls come into your cell phone, what's your next move? Handing somebody else your cell
Yeah.
phone? Like, so
And this may be a good graduation class for an installer who may want to get into sales as well, is that to see how they're doing, you can give them an amount and you can even give them an incentive of if the car comes through or if the house comes through, if they're able to create that opportunity for you, which you would have ordinarily
sure.
possibly lost if they
Sure.
bring it back in, then it's a win-win situation.
So if you say, hey, you can answer the phone or please answer the phones, and potentially if you said, what we can do is I'll give you $20 for every consultation you schedule or 10 for every car you schedule to come in. Something along those lines. Like you're setting them
Yeah.
up now with an incentive. I'm getting a call. If I can sell this person, I'm making $20. I can make a couple $100 today. And like you said, or an hourly, but something like that's
Yeah.
so easy to put in place.
Eric, it's interesting. About 2 years ago, before right as I was starting Veloce, I flew to a lot of different countries and I was meeting with different corporations. And here in the U.S., I flew to a lot of different cities here. And one of the meetings that I sat in here in the U.S. was a very interesting one. And they basically the topic of discussion was, do I take somebody? And this is to Christina's point a little bit as well. Do I take somebody who is not good at doing X and get them to become better? Or do I take somebody who is good at doing Y and get them to do more of Y and get them to do better, do
You have to
Y
do that.
better?
If somebody sucks at
It,
answering the phone
it's,
today, they're going to suck in a week from now. That's for sure. Like
yeah.
that's just how
So,
that
and that's
is.
what I,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's a point that when you look at you, but not just somebody, I want you to look in the mirror as well and say, look, if I don't enjoy doing this or if I'm not good at this, then don't try to take yourself from here all the way to here. It may be better as you learn the process, if you want to improve, that you get somebody that does it well and get them to do it instead of, and vice versa, even for your employees. Don't get an employee of yours who is not good with customers and try to get them to be great with customers. I would
Right.
rather you take somebody that is good with people and maybe even cleaning the floor in your shop, but is good with people and get them to answer those phones.
Yeah. Somebody good with people is going to be good with people. You have to arm them with what to say. Somebody not good with people will always be bad with people, whether you tell them what to say or not. Like it just, I mean, not to say people can't improve or change, but that's typically the way it goes. And as a business owner, I feel like you have to respect your time in your life and do what's most likely to succeed, not long shots that are probably going to frustrate you.
Yeah, and I want to just make the distinction, Eric. It's not just looking at your employees. I want you to look at yourself for that. I want you to look at yourself and say, look, if I don't like, and it's okay if to be this way. If I don't like interacting with people,
Right.
then maybe I let somebody else do that, and I handle the business management side, even the installation side, even this side and that side. I've got a dealer in the greater Dallas area, Eric, and the owner is a good friend of mine, and he's also a car guy and stuff. So he does that, and he's a great guy. Is what he does is he says, "Look, I'm not the best with the customers, so he's got somebody that is great with and the guy he has that's customers. I've known him a while too. Amazing guy, right? And he says, okay, you go handle the customers. I'll run the business,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, you have to look at the mirror as well.
Yeah. So while we talk about customers, it's a good time to bring up, or not customers, while we're talking about employee training, it's a good time to bring up that has been providing one-on-one training via Zoom. And if you want to do that, it's as simple as going into the support area. You'll see one-on-one training, and you can click there. There's a calendar, and you can schedule the date and time. Now, the reason I bring it up is because, we obviously get company like business owners that go through the training. But what we've been doing, which I think is a huge value add for everybody, is we're training staff on a one-on-one basis. So as a business owner, you would think that you would do the training and then your job is to go relay that to your team and get them on board. And kind of the way we're doing it is we'll do the training with you, and then we'll do the training with your staff. And then when they have questions in the app, they can ask the questions directly to us. And it's like, I see it taking a huge workload off of people and this burden of feeling like they have to train their staff and we're training their staff for them. And I'm wondering, do you potentially in the future, or do you currently find yourself in scenarios where you're not only like a business owner who signs like starts using your film, good to go. That business owner hires a consultant. Well, who teaches them what everything about the films?
Sure.
Is that I don't is
So
this
great
something you're
point. Yeah,
considering or do?
Eric, I'll tell you something about Tint Wiz. I think that you were missing this feature. I really think that this will take Tint Wiz to an all new level. And the reason is that there are people that are technologically challenged, right? And tutorials are one thing, but there are a lot of people that want to kind of talk to somebody or get a little bit more on one-on-one training instead of in a group. So I think that for you, this is going to be huge. I have actually one of my dealers who was a little concerned. He was using another program, and he said, "Well, I've been using this, and I spend $350 a month." And I said, "What are you doing spending $350 a month?" And he said every time his comment to me was, "What are you saying?"
No, I'm just thinking of a
You were going to
dealer who's
say
spending
something,
over $2,000 a month that now just started spending
right?
$100. They went from over $2,000 to
Okay.
$100 a month. Go ahead.
So this dealer says to me, he says, look, there's the only thing is that I just I've got everything set up in here, and it's a learning curve, and this, and you helped him take that on the one-on-one training, and honestly. I think that could have helped make the difference between why
Yeah.
this dealer came on or not, because there's that fear of, okay, look, I've been doing this, I'm set in my ways, I don't want to change.
Hmm.
And let me tell you guys something about change, man. I worked the same job for 18 years. 18 years, right? So you think change was difficult for me? Sure it was.
Yeah.
Sure it was. But I'm just saying that for you, the one-on-one training, I think will take it. I want to flip that over to the question that you asked me. We do a lot of trainings for our dealers, and we're always open. In fact, I just had a training today with, I would say, our best dealer in the United States. They are in San Antonio, Texas, and they are phenomenal. And they are doing a great job on social media and on so I saw a few things, and I called the owner up, and he said, look, let's get so and so on the phone because she handles it, and we had a great time. We spoke for about 25 minutes, and we went through that. So if you are a Veloce dealer, look, we love what we do, and we are so thankful. And by the way, you can call us on a Saturday or a Sunday. Okay, don't hold back about that. We love what we do, and we thank you for the opportunity. If you want your people trained, if you want your employees trained, and you don't have the time, um, we're happy. Sometimes I'll tell you, sometimes even though you know what you do better than anybody else, sometimes when your employee hears the same thing from somebody else, it's a totally different perspective, right? So we are here. We will train your employees. We will tell them on sales, obviously, installation. You probably can teach them a lot more than we can. But sales, technical, anything we can help with. If you're hiring a new employee, use your resources. There's no cost associated with this. It's just a way of saying thank you for doing business with us.
That's I feel like that's a huge value add. Like from anyone in the industry, like any manufacturer, any service in the industry, because again, like who has time to train and why would you want to be the one that trains on somebody else? So that's really cool that you're doing that.
And yeah, and the other thing is that we have so much. I wouldn't call it overconfidence, Eric, but I will say that when that person gets off the phone with our training, they will go back and for any person that's they did not get their money's not. It's free of charge. Their time's worth. I will offer $100 cash reward if they said that and they believe it. I'll give $100 on top of that.
I'll match that if you do a demo with Tint with. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding, but I'm kidding.
Uh, Eric, I'm telling you that one-on-one will take Tint Wiz to levels that, because they're people that are just. I think that was probably. I know you've added a lot of awesome services to it, but reality is that unless there's a connection, unless I am. I think the word I'm looking for, yeah, maybe the connected is there. Unless I'm connected to it, I don't really get the benefits of that. So I think that this will lead open paths for you that, I mean,
Yeah,
are just amazing.
been um it's been an incredible, incredible success. Like, it just makes it easy because, being able to in an hour, I can show you the ins and outs of everything, as opposed to like if you're the type of person who, some people dive into it and they're good on their own, and it's, we have a help center and so on. But like you said, there's others who kind of want to be shown what it is, and it's just such an efficient way because it allows us to you to see our screen, potentially us to see your screen. And it's just one of those things where technology has enabled it. And technology enabled it, but I almost feel like this whole COVID thing that happened almost even it pushed it along even faster because it's more in
Yeah.
people's minds to do things like that now on video. Whereas before, it was more of a struggle to want to be like, hey, can we do a video? And it was just like, I don't know how to do that. Can we talk on the phone? And talking on
Sure.
the phone is super inefficient compared to like visual because so anyway, the point being is it's like it's a positive out of this whole lockdown is people have become more comfortable with video, and I feel like businesses, of all types can find ways to make that work for them. You know.
Another thing that's really worked for us when we have done trainings for our dealers and their sales teams and stuff is that we have, Eric, and I'm sure you're seeing the same thing. We have learned so much about them, about the customer, about their needs, about some of the things we could do better,
Yep.
because there are always things we can do better. And guys, trust me, we are, um, we're looking for that kind of feedback. Whereas somebody comes in and says, "Hey guys, you can do this better." Please don't hold back. If you do business with us or don't do business with us, please tell us. We take that. We don't confuse the message with the messenger. But we have learned so much, and I'm sure you will learn,
Oh yeah,
as
we do in the live
some of the
chat,
challenges.
especially. We do it
Yeah.
every day in the live chat. We really we have a core base of users who are in the live chat almost daily with ideas and suggestions, and like it's it definitely like if you're using Tinwiz, definitely use the live chat, definitely use the support area. I feel like it's a great resource. I'm saying we helped somebody with a gasket issue the other day and finding the right tool to pull their gaskets. Like, it doesn't matter what your question is. Tint was related or tint related. We're there to answer the question. It's a button and you have access to it. Use it. We love it. Just and I say it because I feel like maybe people feel like I don't want to bother. It's not a bother. It's helpful. It's fun. It's the best part. Like chatting. It's a great time. So
The other thing is, people, I have people tell me sometimes, well, Harry, I didn't call you for that because I didn't want to bother you.
I didn't want to bother.
Guys, if you're,
Right. Right.
yeah, you've heard that so many times, right? So
Yeah.
let me tell you, if you're thinking of us and if you're asking a question that to me and to our team, the message is you're giving us an opportunity to be a part of your business. And we're thankful for that. So you're not bothering. This is what we do. And this is, we love what we do. We don't just do this for the almighty dollar. I mean, we truly love it.
Yeah. Well, that may be a good place to wrap this Tint Wisdom up. We're at just about the 2 hour mark, so we can call this one a wrap. Thanks for doing it. I think it was a great topic. I hope everybody enjoyed listening to stuff. As I think Brian Tim said earlier in the comments, I think it was him. He said something along the lines of "Thanks for the reminder." Like, basically, this is kind of it's almost common sense stuff, but it has to be kind of said and put in front of you and reminded, and it has to be part of your world to keep it on the forefront because it's so easily, you know, it's so impactful that
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I
easy to
mean, look,
forget.
look, uh, Eric. Some of the most basic things in life are so simple, and but the thing is, they just kind of drift to the back. So we often have to just bring those fundamentals back to the front. and then they'll slip to the back again, and then we'll just kind of keep,
Right.
refreshing it. And that's why you need to surround yourself with people that don't just always agree with what you're saying. That you surround yourself with people that will help improve you, and don't confuse the message with the messenger. Listen to the message, regardless of if it's coming from your biggest competitor or your arch enemy, or whoever else. Listen to the message and disregard the messenger, and see if the message is true. If somebody says you stink, then the first thing you got to do is, do I? Before you say, oh my God, it's just Eric just trying to make fun of me again, right? So anyway, good stuff, Eric. Thanks for your time, and hope everyone enjoyed it.
Harry Rahamn, Veloce Innovations. Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. See you next Wednesday.